I want to start today with a confession. I have been giving the same lesson about wealth for over 40 years, from small rooms with 8 people to auditoriums with thousands. I have put it in books. I have put it on recordings. I have said it in every way I know how to say it. And most people who heard it went home and did nothing. Not because they disagreed, they agreed enthusiastically. They nodded, they took notes. They shook my hand afterward and told me it changed how they think. And then life resumed, and the lessons sat on the shelf with the notes. And 5 years later, they were in exactly the same financial position they were in when they heard it. Now, I want to be careful here, because the lesson did not fail. The lesson cannot fail. It is based on principles that have governed the movement of wealth for as long as human beings have been building it. The lesson is sound. What failed, and I say this with compassion because I have lived through my own version of this failure. What failed was the distance between hearing and doing. And today I want to close that distance. Not by giving you new information. The information is not new, it has never been new. What I want to give you today is clarity, the specific, unambiguous, no room for misunderstanding clarity about what the lesson actually requires and why most people stop before they ever truly begin. Stay with me, because what I am going to tell you in the next few minutes is the most important thing I know about money. And it is not what most people think it is. Let me ask you something. What do you think wealth is? I do not mean philosophically. I mean practically. What is the definition that governs your behavior? Not the one you would give if someone asked you at a dinner party. The one that actually shapes what you do on the day your paycheck arrives. Because here is what I have observed across 40 years of talking to people about this subject. Most people define wealth as an amount, a number, a threshold. When I have this much, I will be wealthy. When I reach that figure, I will have arrived. And I want to tell you today that definition is wrong. Fundamentally, practically, consequentially wrong. Wrong in a way that makes wealth impossible to build as long as you hold it. Here is the definition I want you to carry instead. Wealth is not a destination. Wealth is a direction. Let me explain what I mean by that. A person with $10,000 who is consistently adding to it, learning about it, growing it, that person is wealthy in direction. They are moving towards something real, and the amount will follow. A person with $1 million who is spending more than they earn and has stopped learning, that person is not wealthy. The direction is wrong. And direction always defeats amount given enough time. So before you ask how much do I have, ask which way am I moving? Because the direction tells you more about where you will be in 20 years than any current balance ever could. And here is what this means for you sitting here today. It means that wherever you are, whatever the number is, however far it feels from where you want to be, you can become wealthy in direction starting today. The moment you decide that a portion of everything you earn moves toward your future rather than disappearing into the present, you have begun. That is where all wealth begins, not with a large sum, with a direction. But I want to go deeper than that, because direction requires a philosophy to sustain it, and the philosophy is what I want to give you today. Let me ask you a second question. What is your financial philosophy? Not your budget, not your plan, not your strategy, your philosophy, the beliefs that govern every financial decision you make, whether you are conscious of them or not. When I was 25 years old, I did not have a financial philosophy. I had habits I had inherited from watching how money moved in the house I grew up in. I had reflexes shaped by scarcity and by the specific financial experiences of my early life. But I did not have a philosophy, and without a philosophy, I had no anchor. Every financial decision I made was reactive, shaped by the immediate pressure of the moment, rather than by any considered belief about what money was for and where I wanted it to take me. And then I sat across from Earl Shoaff. And Earl gave me something that no formal education had ever given me. He gave me a philosophy. It had 2 parts, and I have carried both of them for every year of my life since that conversation. The first part is this: money is a measure of value exchanged. This is not a metaphor. This is a functional description of what money actually is. Money moves toward people who provide value and away from people who do not. Not perfectly, not without exception, but as a consistent, verifiable pattern across every field and every era. Which means the question of how to earn more is inseparable from the question of how to contribute more. You cannot sustainably increase your income without increasing your value to the people you serve. The income follows the value. It does not precede it. Now, here is what I want to ask you directly. When you think about your financial situation, when you think about wanting more, do you think about earning more or contributing more? Because I have found that most people think about earning more, and the ones who think about contributing more are the ones who end up earning more. The mind that is focused on contribution is focused on the right thing, and the right focus produces the right results. Earl told me this the first time I sat across from him. He said, "Jim, stop asking what you can get. Start asking what you can give. And the getting will follow the giving in an amount proportional to the value of what you gave." I wrote that down. I have never stopped thinking about it. But that is only the first part of the philosophy. And the second part is the one that changed my daily life more than anything else Earl ever taught me. The second part of the philosophy is this: your income will rarely exceed your personal development. I want you to hear that not as inspiration, but as a mechanical description of how financial progress works. If you want the income to grow, you must grow first, not simultaneously first. The person precedes the result. You cannot earn your way to a bigger life. You have to grow your way there. Now, let me tell you what that meant in my own life. When I understood this, really understood it, not as a pleasant idea, but as a practical instruction, I started reading every day. Not occasionally, every day. 1 hour minimum. Philosophy, biography, the lives and thinking of people who had built something worth building. People who understood how the world worked and had written it down for anyone willing to sit with it. And I want to ask you something about this habit. How much time did you spend last week learning something deliberately? Not absorbing things passively, not the news, not entertainment, not the information that arrives without invitation, deliberately. Sitting down with the intention to understand something you did not understand before. For most people, the honest answer is very little. And I say this not to shame anyone. I say it because it explains more about financial outcomes than almost any other single factor. The people I have known who built real wealth, not every one of them. But the consistent pattern across the ones I observed most closely were readers, learners, people who treated their own development as the primary investment and everything else as secondary. 1 hour a day, every day, that was the practice. 1 hour a day for 5 years in any field makes you among the most knowledgeable people in that field. Not the most credentialed, the most knowledgeable. And knowledgeable people who apply what they know provide more value. And value is what money moves toward. That is the chain. And it starts not with income or investment, but with learning. I have given this away freely for 40 years. It costs nothing to implement. 1 hour, every day, a book. A deliberate practice of understanding. And almost nobody used it, not because they disagreed. They agreed. They nodded. They told me it made sense. And then they went home and watched television for the hour they could have used to learn something. Now, I want to address the question I always get at this point. Why? Why do people hear this and agree with it and then not do it? I have thought about this question for 4 decades, and I have come to believe the answer is this. The things that are easy to do are also easy not to do. Read that again slowly, because it is the most important sentence I know about why people do not build the financial life they are capable of building. Setting aside 10% of your income every month is easy to do. It requires no special skill or rare opportunity. It is a simple mechanical action that any person earning any income can perform. And it is easy not to do. Easy to spend it instead. Easy to tell yourself next month. Easy to find a reason why this month is different. Reading for 1 hour every day is easy to do. It requires nothing more than a book and the willingness to sit with ideas rather than distraction. And it is easy not to do, easy to turn on the television, easy to say you are too tired, easy to treat the hour as optional. The great tragedy of simple wisdom is that its simplicity is mistaken for insignificance. People hear an idea that is easy to implement, and they assume they can implement it whenever they choose, later, when it feels more urgent. When the circumstances demand it. But the circumstances never demand it. The world does not force you to become financially disciplined. The world accommodates your indiscipline completely and without judgment. It will take everything you give it and ask for more. The demand to grow and save and learn is always internal, never external, which means the decision has to come from you, from a philosophy you have examined and chosen and committed to, not because someone told you to, but because you understand the mechanism and you want the results and you are willing to do the simple things consistently. That is the hardest part, not the things themselves, the consistency, the willingness to do simple things on the days when nothing external is demanding it of you. Let me bring everything together, because I want to leave you with something specific. The philosophy of wealth that Earl Shoaff gave me and that I have spent 40 years giving away freely has two beliefs at its core. Money follows value, and income follows development. And those two beliefs produce two daily practices. The first practice is keeping a portion of everything you earn, not what is left over. A portion taken first, before the world has a chance to claim it. 10% if you can. 5% if 10 is too much right now. 1% if 5 is too much. But something. Every month, without exception, automatic before anything else. The second practice is learning every day. 1 hour, deliberate, in the area where you want to grow. Every day, not when you feel like it. Every day. Two practices, based on two beliefs, producing one direction. That is the lesson. The entire lesson. The one I have given away in rooms of every size for 46 years. Now, let me ask you the question I always end with. What would your life look like 5 years from now if you kept 10% of everything you earned and spent 1 hour every day learning? I am not going to answer it for you. The answer is yours. It depends on what you earn and what you learn and what you do with what you learn. But I will tell you this. The direction of the answer is the same for everyone who honestly asks it. Better, measurably, specifically, demonstrably better than the life produced by spending everything and stopping learning. And the distance between where you are and that better life is not talent. It is not opportunity. It is not luck or timing or the circumstances you were born into. It is whether you decide today, not someday, today, to do the two simple things. The lesson has always been free. It still is. What you do with it after today is the only thing that has ever been up to you. Thank you.